Alright, YouTube, I want to talk about the ZOOZ ZEN54LR. I'm not sure what the LR is. I didn't bother to ask him. But it's a 0 to 10 volt dimmer, so it's got an output for 0 to 10 volts, which is, you know, standard control circuitry for, I see it a lot in industrial applications. I've never seen it for a home application. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's got a relay in there, then it's got a switch input. So the original idea was to hook this dimmer up to the VFD. So we'll go over the VFD real quick. It's nothing special, just one of those cheap Chinese units. Really, really simple, super reliable. I've never had an issue with it, and there's a lot of other people who've never had an issue with it. Nothing special. 1.5 kilowatts, you know, 1 to 3 phase in. I'm running it on 240 volts. Yeah, everywhere you go, everywhere you look for the description of this thing, it says for dimmer circuits only. It says check the low, do not exceed 4 amps for your 0 to 10 volt dimmer. Use only with 0 to 10 volt LED drivers. And up here it also specifies 4 amps used with 0 to 10 volt LED drivers. Alright, so if I read that on its face, that's telling me that I've got 4 amps to play with on that 0 to 10 volt circuit. So I emailed ZOOZ. ZOOZ got back to me. They said, no, that 4 amps is actually for the contact circuit, the relay circuit. So I said, okay, that's very misleading. And I'm going to hook it up to a VFD. And, you know, there's a big, I don't know, like 5 or 6 emails back and forth about what I was doing with it. I'm not sure why they were concerned. But anyway, I hooked it up to this VFD. Alright, so I hooked the ZEN54LR 0 to 10 volt dimmer up to my VFD for just a simple speed control circuit. Nothing special. Like I said, I've seen it done in industrial applications. Just never known anybody at the house to do it. So that's what we're doing. But I wanted to, you know, just give everybody a rundown that it doesn't have to just be for LEDs. You can use them for valves, proportioning valves. I mean, at some point I'm going to do that. And this is a speed controller. I'm sure there's other applications, obviously LED dimming. But what we're going to look at is the output for the 0 to 10 volts. We're just going to see how clean it is. It does fluctuate a good bit. When I turn this on, it'll ramp up, it'll ramp down. You'll get little boosts of higher speed. And, you know, I scoped it, and the signal's not terribly dirty. There's a bunch of noise in it, but it's not noise from outside sources. It's definitely coming from the dimmer. So let's turn it on. And we'll look at the scope while I'm doing it. You see it rise? It's pretty dirty. And so I can control the speed through my phone. Turn it up just a little bit so we can get a good look at that signal. See if I can't zoom in on it. Turn it up a little bit. Turn it up a lot. Let's change the time. 10 microseconds is all I got. It's the smallest it'll go. There's 10 millis, 20 millis. Alright, so as you can see, it's not the cleanest. Let's look at your voltage peak, Vmax. Turn it up a little. And you can see it does ramp up. It does go down. I'll just turn that off. So I actually have another one of these setups running in my furnace. It's a WEG VFD, and I don't have it running on the 0 to 10 volts. It's on 4 to 20 milliamps. But I use that to get rid of all the latent heat that was stuck in my heat exchanger, so it'll just run on the RPM after the furnace is shut off. So this is a 1140 RPM motor. The one I have in the furnace is a 3000 RPM motor, and the pulley's much bigger, and this pulley for the motor is much smaller. But because this is a low RPM motor, you need to have a bigger drive pulley to get the proper RPMs out. Back to this thing. So I'm using Samsung Smart Things. You know, there's a ton of other apps you could get this dimmer to run on, and there's a lot of other dimmers that, you know, the 0 to 10 volt dimmers that you could use. Shelly is another one. I really like Shelly's app. I like Shelly's products. But I don't like being tied to Shelly. You know, there's a ton of other things you can do with this, but as far as them being pertinent to my application, probably not. There's, you know, the Freak Drive, it does just about everything I need it to do. There is one thing that I don't like about it, and it's probably just a defect from the factory, and that is what it does after it powers up, after it loses power. It's supposed to return to its run setting, but you actually have to hit the run button to, I guess, activate it, which isn't a huge deal. But I am going to be using this setup as an exhaust fan, probably for the garage. Get rid of the old, I've got another 220 volt direct drive motor, and I think eats some power. This thing's probably 200 watts more efficient than the direct drive 220 volt motor setup. So the Zen54 is a good item. I've never really had any problem. I mean, I've had some problems with Z-Wave products. I just had some interference. I'm not sure where that was coming from, but I switched to a Zigbee device, Zigbee relay, and it was all fine. And you can run other devices on the Samsung Smart Thing space, and I've tried to flash Tasmota on a few things. Yeah, I know that's just a driver, but it loses some of the features. So the relay that I tried to flash, you could not view how much current the device was drawing. So I just gave that up and decided to go with a different you know, another Z-Wave product or a Zigbee product. Anyway, don't be afraid to run 0 to 10 volts. ZOOZ says that it was designed primarily for lighting applications, but I guess any 0 to 10 volt control circuit, they says it's they're going to give it the green light.